Hey, folks, welcome back to the Daily Crypto Byte. something on my mic. He's CJ Reichel. He is Matt Montemayor, and I am Jon Najarian. Saluting you guys. Hoping we can find a 10x trade today. And, you know, Bitcoin is held in there pretty nice. Last week it seemed like it was, getting some pretty good pressure. Today, early on, it was much higher, traded all the way into negative territory, BTC that is, and then has moved back up over 50,800 just a little bit ago. So decent start to the day, to the week. What do you guys think?
Yeah, can't complain when we get price action like this. It's a little bit of a scary week last week. We had some ups and downs, some concerns with the legacy markets that I think you kind of quelled some of those fears, John. And it looks like what you were saying is coming true. The market's bouncing back a little bit. So I'm much more encouraged to start this week than I was last week. That's for sure.
Well, it was nice, CJ, that David Tepper, somebody on Twitter reached out to me about his comments, which were really similar to mine, that he thinks we're going to top out on rates here. When we say top out, I just mean in the short term. I think we keep pushing higher to 2% by the end of the year, but if we don't get there in a big hurry, I think it's fine. And Tepper was more or less saying the same thing in an interview with CNBC. So now, did you guys think we had plunge protection team, the PPT at work last week when all of a sudden with the 10-year as it touched 160, all of a sudden it just hit a wall and they just shoved it all the way back down to 155, 154?
That was rather interesting. That happened shortly after the Daily Crypto Byte on Friday as well. But we did have a lot of news as well over the weekend. John, you mentioned David Tepper, of course, but we also have news coming out of the White House.
Oh yeah, the 1.9.
What was that?
The 1.9 trillion, that news, or actually, I guess that's the Senate. House has to pass today, but which part do you mean, CJ?
I mean, the stimulus checks for $1,400 are now likely to go out within the next 2 weeks. And I don't remember the exact survey, but there is one that went out that said a majority of millennials plan to spend their stimulus checks on the stock market. So interesting survey data there. Additionally, from Fundstrat and kind of a forecast from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, they forecast that they no longer see a wave 4 throughout March or April, COVID-19 that is, and the latest forecast shows that the daily cases and infections will likely drop by 50% in early April of 2021 and may fall to near zero of 2021. So very enthusiastic there, very encouraging. And it's very interesting with all of this stimulus being passed. Our friend at Fundstrat, Tom Lee, actually kind of compared this reopening period to almost like a post-war expansion. And so he's been very long-term bullish on that. We have had some pain in the interim from these increasing yields, but judging by this data and some of the news that we've seen this weekend, it's hard not to be pretty long-term bullish on this market, as well as the crypto market. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, well, and I think part of that survey that you're citing, CJ, was that when they asked millennials what they would do, I think they said over 50% of them said they would put it either in the stock market and or alt currencies like Bitcoin. Obviously that happened last time. And to the extent that somebody got a big fat check last time and they put it in Bitcoin, they turned their $1,400 into almost 10,000 if they hodled it. I mean, if they bought it and held it. I suspect some of it went into some of these cryptocurrencies, and a lot of it went into the market. The GameStop trade clearly not from the stimulus itself, but I think they kind of got their toes in the water when they got those checks with Robinhood. And by the time January rolled around this year, December and January, they were going whole hog in GameStop, and they're still going whole hog in GameStop. I mean, it was over 154 again today. You know, they're applying the pressure again today.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where some of this money goes because, as we've kind of pointed out, and I think a lot of people have pointed out in the last couple of weeks, Bitcoin is still largely correlated to the larger markets. So I'm not too sure if people are going to be all that comfortable putting their money in Bitcoin when there's still such massive fears of inflation with the US dollar. And as much as people like to think of Bitcoin as a hedge against the US dollar, it's really not there yet. And one thing I think that's worth noting is kind of what we've been seeing, even when Bitcoin's kind of trading sideways or in a decline, we've seen plenty of altcoins really popping to parabolic bullish uptrends, despite Bitcoin's kind of lackluster performance with the rest of the market. So I think that maybe some of these lower cap altcoins and some of these more retail focused assets will actually really appeal to traders looking to put that stimulus check to work. Maybe you can find a few Doges of the day amongst the crypto market with that capital. So yeah, I think it'll be good for the crypto market overall. And I think there's lots of good low market cap assets to look at if you want to put your money to work right away.
Speaking of Doge.
Yes. Speaking of Doge of the day.
Yes, our latest
Hey,
segment.
check out this graphic. Here we go.
All right, let's see the Doge of the day.
It's up on the screen right now.
All right. I like it. The Doge of the day, guys, is Doge. Because Doge, once again, is, and this is, of course, for many people, a crap coin. For most people, a bit of a joke, even when Elon Musk tweeted it. But I tell you what, when Mark Cuban last week started talking about it and saying that he was going to take Doge for Mavericks, you know, the Dallas NBA basketball team, his Mavericks, that he would start selling, you know, gear and even tickets for Doge. I had to take note of that. And then he also, not just he, but I believe there was news also this week that some ATM was going to take 1,400 ATMs and make them ATMs for Doge. And you can see why they wouldn't want BTC or Bitcoin as much, because like we've talked about, Bitcoin isn't really terribly efficient on the transaction side, kind of expensive to do that. I mean, you know, every once in a while I get somebody, guys, that says to me, hey, do you want to send me a check instead of paying by credit card? Because, you know, the credit card company is going to take 3% or whatever. Bitcoin, it can be a lot more than that, especially for small transactions. It's not really a currency the way I view it. And most people don't really want to sell it either. They want to hold on to it. But something like Doge, I'm sure. I mean, I've got some, you know, leftover Doge from a trade that I did a few weeks ago. I think it's a little over 400 Doge coins. And yeah, they're a nickel a piece, but still, Doge is making a move again today. So our Doge of the day is indeed Doge again. It's up 8.5% today. So I'm going to say that's our Doge of the day.
You know, John, it's really funny that we talk so much about Doge here. And we had this one segment on Trade the Chain a while back where one of the guests was like, oh, there's no fundamental value behind Doge. How could Doge have any value? Why is it going up like this? And, you know, they're approaching it from a rational perspective. And I do agree with that for most part. But there are some interesting kind of narrative economics and fundamentals going into Dogecoin, because even before Elon Musk mentioned it, you know, we had TikTokers who did the Dogecoin challenge who pumped Doge. So as long as this thing remains above zero and is not delisted from a vast majority of exchanges, I do think it's going to pump again, and some Elon Musk tweet or some TikToker is going to go out. But these are the narrative economics that we're seeing in the market these types of days.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great point, CJ. Like a lot of these assets, they don't even have really any clear-cut utility. It's just speculative value, and the utility is kind of coming later, as John pointed out with the Dallas Mavericks accepting payments and these Doge ATMs. I mean, 6 months ago, that never would have been a thing without this speculative value driving price up so significantly. So it's really been interesting for Doge. CJ, I know you had some pretty interesting picks for your Doge of the day, so I'm curious to hear what you're thinking.
Three picks, three picks.
Three.
With a combination of sentiment data as well as a little technical analysis. The first one is going to be VeChain, VET. All of these assets did a big run up over the course of January and February, but now they haven't given back a total amount of their gains. They're kind of in this period where, after the recent run up, they've really consolidated, and a lot of people who, ran it up the first time are still holding on. So to see that consolidation and possibly go up into another bull run, I think these assets would be primed based on their technical and sentiment scores to be primed for a decent run up. So the first one is VeChain. Second one is Serum, SRM. And the final one that's not actually on this chart is ZIL, ZIL. So those three, very interesting. Maybe just add them to your watch list throughout the week, because they are definitely increasing when it comes to relative tweet volume, sentiment scores, and judging by the technicals, they're also hanging in there.
Yeah, and that is something that you guys do pay attention to as well. You mentioned just now tweet volume and things like that. Tracking social is definitely something, as you guys know, we're trying to roll out our own product in that space. It's beta testing now for, the social, which would include Reddit, because these days you can't not include Reddit. The subreddits, anything on crypto, anything on Wall Street bets. Those are, I think the subreddit on cryptocurrencies, one of them has like 1.8 million people. That's practically as many as were in Wall Street bets 4 months ago. Now Wall Street bets is up over 9.5, 9.6 million people that have actually, joined. Doesn't cost anything, of course, but I mean, they join just so they can either post memes or see what some of the smart people like Deep Effing Value is posting up on Wall Street bets. It's a brave new world, and but I do like this VeChain pick. I might have to pick up some of that today and see if it can make a Doge of the day. Have we ever had a Doge of the day that's been a Doge of the day 2 days in a row?
I don't think so. Those moves tend to happen pretty quick. So,
well, maybe after CJ mentioned it, Matt, it's up whatever, almost 5% right now, VET. So maybe if we can get a double out of that one, get it up to 10%, maybe it'll be a Doge of the day again.
Yeah. I think you guys make some great points there. And I love that you're talking about sentiment, John, because I mean, I like to think of myself as a largely technical trader, but when it comes to these sort of low cap altcoins, you got to turn to sentiment, because that's where a lot of the action is happening with these assets. It's not particularly based on any fundamental value or anything like that. It's kind of more driven by the mania of the markets and the mania of the internet. And I'm going to talk about two of my Doges of the day from last week. I actually went on the Market Rebellion cocktail hour and used my time there to pitch these Doges of the day to that audience as well. So I really believe in these NFTs, and these are, although they've kind of shown a really tremendous pop in the last couple of days, and they're on this red 9, I'm still bringing it to your attention because I think these are assets that are still in such a large stage of price discovery and haven't really found their utility yet. But when that does happen, I truly believe that these assets can really boom. So the first one I talked about was Engine. And as you can see, it's kind of been on a parabolic uptrend ever since. The second one is Mana, kind of the same thing, a little bit of a different chart formation, but still a parabolic uptrend. And this kind of reminds me of what we were talking about with Doge in the sense, because really this value is still largely speculative. There is a bit of utility to these things in the sense that they are native to these games. Decentraland for Mana, an engine is a more cross-platform game economy token. But I think in the future, the gaming industry is going to really need some sort of way to economize itself. And nobody really saw kind of the boom of the video game economy that was coming. But in 2019, Fortnite made nearly $2 billion from their battle pass that sells at $10 a piece. So there is a tremendous demand for these online non-fungible video game items. And I think the future possibility of the boom of these collectibles within video games and the increasing demand that's going to come with that, and just the more acceptance of digital scarcity and that concept, I think that will lead to even more money being invested in these video game NFTs. And that will result in assets like Engine and like Mana going up even more and becoming a staple of the video game economy. So I'm looking out for these NFTs. I'm looking out for those that are positioning themselves well to capitalize on the tremendous amount of money that's circulating through the video game economy. And right now, I think Engine and Mana are two that are well positioned in the space, have a kind of a first mover advantage in the NFT market. Mm-hmm. And they're also listed on our sponsor Voyager, so you can start trading these right away. And I think they have a pretty bright future. So that's kind of a follow-up on my Doge of the day.
Cool. Well, beautiful. As always, folks, we appreciate you joining us. CJ and Matt are in the chat room virtually all day long, along with thousands of investors like you. So if you'd like to join the conversation, that conversation is texting right now. Are there any plans to have that be voice, guys, or is it going to stay, sort of like SMS? It just pops up in there, and as long as they're playing by the rules, everybody can talk back and forth, right?
Well, I'm not sure if we're turning into Clubhouse. We may have a Discord channel eventually sometime in the future. But, we have weekly webinars in which our members can ask us questions and interact. That's when we really try to, give our time to our members and our community. So.
Well, very cool. And as you guys have heard before, if you want to join, the first month is only $1. All you got to do is go to marketrebellion.com/try crypto. That's marketrebellion.com/try crypto. And you can see what the room's all about for $1 for your first month. And if it is something that helps you in your trade, then of course the guys would love to host you in the room all the time. So thank you, guys. I look forward to checking out the new Doge of the day tomorrow.
Thanks, John. Looking forward to talking with you tomorrow. Take care.
See you guys.